for those not up to date at this point, Brendan Sorsby started out at IU. This is important for a reason. That then goes to Cincinnati, balls out. Was toying with the idea. Maybe I come into the draft this year. Maybe I stay in college. Well, he decided to stay in college. He got the bag from Oil Money Texas Tech. And then it came out I don't know, like 2 or 3 weeks after he signed. It's like, oh, just kidding. This guy is like a crippling gambling addiction where he just like gambles on like everything. He was gambling obviously on like his own games.
Yeah,
He was
that
gambling
was the
on
most
like,
important one.
yeah, yeah, he was gambling on everything. But again, most importantly was he was gambling on his own games, especially when he was at IU. And he said it made him feel more connected or something. Um, he then had checked into gambling rehab and hired a lawyer to try to retain his eligibility because obviously you're not allowed to gamble on your own team. And it came out, I think it was either yesterday or the day prior that the NCAA had a hearing, and they're like, nope. We don't care that you went to your rehab and tried to solve this issue. You are still not eligible to play. This now throws him up in the air. Is he going to try to push further? Is he going to go to the supplemental draft? I don't know.
So Texas Tech has made an announcement that they're going to appeal the decision. Um, Again, I mean that's because they want to get return on their investment, and they want to be able to have a top five transfer quarterback, and you can't get a top five transfer quarterback anymore. You can't get Nico Iamaleoff anymore because the spring portal's gone and the coaches voted on this. So this is what you're kind of dealt, right? And so from the Tech side, it's interesting because I don't know if there's a lot of woe is Texas Tech, just in the sense of like, well, they kind of are the new like just throw money at everybody and we'll get what we
Yeah.
want. Like, and so it's like you guys didn't do any background information. Like you didn't dig deep into this at all. Which again, my rebuttal to that is like how how do you do that? How do you just gonna every kid like show me your phone, and even
Yeah.
then like, well, guess what I can do on my phone? I can delete apps, right? But for the most part, I think from his side to get ahead of it and make it this like very like woe is me, like this you I wanted to feel part of the team and this and that. Like he was underage in other states doing this and doing it on games that he actively is a part of and getting redshirted for. So it's like, again, maybe I think he's just a bad gambler. That's my bad joke, but like 2022 Indiana was not the team to be putting money line
Not
bets
the
on.
team.
But just overall, I think this is a very hairy situation, and I think the NCAA has literally no choice to, you know, declare him what they said was permanently ineligible. That was the wording. And if they ever let him play, whether it's 6 game suspension, 8 game, whatever, you can't do it. You have
You
to
can't.
stand.
You can't. It's become such a big issue. You cannot let him play another down of college athletics. If he wants to try out for the men's golf team, he shouldn't be allowed to do it. Like it's just like across the board, he shouldn't be allowed to play college sports. But that then kicks us into like the supplemental draft of it all.
Yep.
The supplemental draft hasn't happened since 2019. Jalen Thompson. Um, those unfamiliar, very quickly teams. It's like a blind bid situation. A team says, we will give a third round pick, but we don't know what the Saints are going to bid, or so on and so forth. And then it goes to the team that had the highest capital
Yep.
that gave up gets the player. This gets into my next point. Like if you're a quarterback needy team, how what is the risk versus reward here? Because for me, like on one hand, you're saying like this guy, like if he came out in this draft, there's a real chance that he could have been a first round pick. Like
Yes.
when this whole process started, people were like, oh, he could be a top 10, top 15 pick. So like he's a genuinely good prospect. But on the flip side of this, gambling has become such a problem in professional sports, unless your name is, Shohei Ohtani, it's become a very, very big issue and frowned upon. Like FBI is getting involved in on this. It is a huge issue. So if you're a team, where does the risk versus reward lie? Because you can say, shoot, I can get this great player for possibly a third, round pick in the supplemental draft, but is it going to be worth the firestorm that comes along with this all? And is it just this, or is there more that still has to uncover? Where does the risk versus reward lay for you? If let's say the Cardinals, the Giants, the Jets, like if you're a quarterback needy team, how much does that concern you?
Not enough. Not enough.
See, I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole.
Because I think if you get into the sport right now and you just saw the free agency pool that we had of quarterbacks, it's so hard to get one. And we just had another year of the NFL draft. Again, next year is always better, and I think it will be. And, Arch Manning and Dante Moore. After that, I have no idea. So, like, you get into the quarterback and what's being drafted the last 2 years, like, again, this is where I keep coming back. I keep coming back to how many teams would bid a second-round pick. Because how many teams would love to be in the position? I think of my team, the Saints. How many teams would be so excited to have Tyler Shuck right now? How many? And that is the 40th overall pick. And so when you get into those, like, risk-reward of it all, a second-round pick's a second-round pick, Ben, right? Like, it's not as detrimental as, if the Cardinals bid their first-round pick. That's likely the third overall pick for Brendan Sorsby. So, like, there are teams that I can look at already and say, yeah, no chance. There's no chance that they're getting rid of their first round pick. But then you get into, like, is there a team arrogant enough in the back of the draft saying, like, well, we're going to be good, but we want a contingency plan at this position, It's just fascinating because I think I'm more weighing the just like the rarity of the position now. Like there is just a deficiency at the position right now. And Sorsby, I remember going back to, like, Daniel Jeremiah in February was talking about his top 50. And he said, listen, no GM, none of these decision makers I talk to have said any other name for quarterback than Fernando Mendoza, who was in this draft. But they do like Brendan Sorsby. So there are people around the league that have talked Brendan Sorsby, know about Brendan Sorsby, like Brendan Sorsby, and again, I think it's just the position. Like, if it was any other position, I'd be with you, right? But when you think about his ability and just the rarity, like if I'm the Buccaneers, how many teams? We could do this game. How many teams would bid a second round pick right now, just to have clarity at the position, just to say, hey, we have a plan. There's so many teams, right?
But that's the concern of it all for me, though. It's like I don't know, because I feel like there's so much unknown with it now too. Because like, is it? But
isn't that the point of the supplemental draft?
Well, it's of course, but like, yes, and I mean that is why it exists and everything, obviously. Mm-hmm. But like, do I want to give up my second round pick for a player that might be getting investigated by the FBI for playing swinging games? No, that doesn't sound fun.
So how is that any different than if I miss on a linebacker? You know what I'm saying? Because it's quarterback. If I get quarterback right, it is such a massive win for my organization. That's where I'm like, I push back. It's
well, because it's because it's not just a missed draft pick, right? Because now you're the organization that willingly brought in this kid who like you knew was doing stuff that you absolutely
Mm-hmm.
should not have been doing, and you were like, I'm gonna pay good draft capital. It's tough, but it goes back to the value of it because like it is. You have the chance that if everything is clean and everything goes perfectly, and it's simply the biggest punishment he gets is he just doesn't have eligibility in the NCAA
Yeah.
anymore. Then it's perfect and it's great. But I mean that goes back to your point with that you never know with the supplemental draft, and that's the whole reason for it. It's scary. As maybe I don't have enough gumption, but as a team decision maker, I don't know if I'd be the team that'd be willing to do it. But that's I'm not having to fight between Jacoby Brissett and you know as my starting quarterback here. So
Yeah, I mean that's what I keep coming back to with it. I think he's going to enter the supplemental draft. I'm officially at the point where early on I was pretty like, he'll get the slap on the wrist, right? Like this isn't as
oh
bad
yeah,
as I think. And then you read about it and you realize, oh, like he's literally gambling under, someone else's name and he's doing it across multiple states and thousands of bets are being placed. But the kicker is like you were a part of a roster and you bet on that game. That's a killer. And so
mm-hmm.
I think it's again, I don't want to say it's easy to hand wave as an NFL team, but it's easy to hand wave and say, hey, he's just a kid, right? If we get him in our
Yeah,
building and we really crack down on him, he's changed, right? Like he's done the rehab and he's already going on that tour right now of,
yeah,
I'm a changed person because he knows he's going in the supplemental draft, but I just keep coming back to once this was a release and I started thinking about the supplemental draft, it's like how many teams? Because that's the other part of the supplement. If you bid a second, you do not have a second round pick in 2027. So,
yeah,
and you get the player, I should say. If you get the player as well, there would certainly be someone willing to, I think, bid a top 75 pick. I'm talking like the Cardinals, Dolphins would bid their third
absolutely.
round picks.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see how that operates. I think we have a month, like you said, until the supplemental draft. It usually happens like
Yeah, it's
mid to late summer.
players have so Brendan Sorsby has I think until June 22nd to officially submit his name into the draft. And then the draft actually occurs early to mid July. The dates are official, aren't official or anything yet. Um, but I mean, we'll know in about a month and a half. So, and as you said, teams are very teams are overly confident in their ability to fix players. It's happened 1,000 times before. It'll happen 1,000 times over again, regardless of outcome, especially at the quarterback position. So it'll be interesting to see the outcome of it all. That's for sure. So
Yeah, I'd put money on the Bucks. Sorry, I know.
that'd be
I know.
fun.
We shouldn't be
I would
talking
love.
about putting
I
money
would.
on things with Brendan Sorsby, but I think the Bucks with Baker with one last year, Bulls likely like just on the downslope. You could really reset this thing. Even if you're spending the second, you would still have your first round pick. It gives you that avenue to the quarterback of the future. Whether or not he's good, you get to figure it out. It's like my point with like Shuck. If Shuck isn't good, who cares? It's a second round pick. It does not cripple you. You're still able to draft Jordan Tyson. You're still able to draft Kelvin Banks. You're still able to draft these difference makers at positions that need difference makers. But you also get the reap the rewards of a cheap contract in the second round.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, if you're the Rams, keep it going. Submit your
Do it
second
again.
round pick. Do it again. Run it back. It'll be great. One of them has to hit, right? So